What's in your name, sir? Shakespeare. What's in a seat here? What difference is it going to make? Anyway, good evening, friends. No, it is really inspiring to hear the story of Anand. I mean, and I wish I could get myself to do what he's doing. I mean, it's unbelievable, and education is the only passport for a poor man to prosperity. In fact, I knew that my father he qualified for the central government services in 1952. He was the Indian Revenue Service officer, and he had no money to go to college, and he missed 1 year of college. And because he could be an Indian Revenue officer, he came to Bombay. And because he came to Bombay, I could be educated and I could enter the stock markets. So you know how important my father's education has been to me. Anyway, God bless him. And I only wish that we have more Indians like him. But it was good to hear that despite all their efforts, the politicians and the mafia could not stop him. Especially in the states like Bihar. I don't know what I should talk to you about, friends, but no, what did it say? Young India poised to fly. I think you don't have to say young India. If India flies, everything will fly. Young, old. No, but I have to think of the old age for a person like me. If only all you are young, prosper, what will happen to us? Anyway, I mean, I don't know whether I should tell you something about my life and then about what I feel about India. You know, my father was in government service. I was the youngest sibling. And my dad always was a very democratic, but a very socialist father. And I was a very capitalist character. So we used to argue so much that there was a rule that if I and my dad talk on the dining table, then my mother won't have dinner that day. So he always inspired freedom. I was a very curious child, and he always respected and fulfilled my curiosity. I think that was the greatest source of my knowledge and learning. And you know, he was interested in stocks, so his friends would come in the evening and they would over a drink discuss markets, and I would listen in. And I would say, you know, that time Century, Tata Steel, Gujarat State Fertilizer, these were Grasim, these were the blue chip companies, and they would discuss them and the price would go up and down. So, you know, at that age of 13, 14, some wanted to be pilots, some wanted to be journalists, all boys are interested in girls. But I was interested in the stock market. So I should keep questioning my dad, and my dad said, see, some news will come out Grasim and how the price will fluctuate. So I started reading the newspapers, started following stock prices. You know, there was a publication by the ILO where they wanted labor or, you know, people to understand balance sheet, how to read a balance sheet. They gave me that book. And then I started reading balance sheets. And then he said, Rakesh, you do what you want to in life, but you become a chartered accountant. He said, why? Because I asked him, he said, it'll help you if you want to go to the stock market, and also it'll give you security in life. So I obeyed him, I did my chartered accountancy. I also become a chartered accountant. But we're all shattered by the time we are chartered. You work for 3 years at 60, 80, 100 rupees a month. Of course, and you know, Mr. Bansi Mehta, he won't even give us tea, we had to pay for the tea. But we had a lot Kule. So if our actual conveyance cost was 80 rupees, we had to make it 150. And Mr. Kule used to do 10 rupees TDS and give us the 70 extra, which we used to have drinks 4 times a month. It's a great fun, I'll never forget. And then I did my chartered accountancy, and my dad said, what will you do? I said, I want to go to the stock market. He said, I know that, what will you do there? I said, I'll invest. He said, where's the money? Don't do this, I'll do this. Never ever, you know, put your palms before my face. So I said, but he said, don't worry. I have a house in Bombay, you can always live here. You're a smart fellow. If you don't succeed in the markets, you can earn 15, 20,000 a month. And he said, never forget a word is a bond. Be fearless, may God bless you, for He is the only blesser. So I went to the market, 5,000 rupees, I should stand there. If I tell anybody in the stock market, my father is from the income tax department, they won't talk to you only then. So they should ask me, what's the dad? I said, he's doing some cloth business in Multi-Data market. I should tell people. But my brother was a practicing chartered accountant, and he managed to get me a loan of 15, 20 lakhs rupees from his clients. And then it started. I earned 25 lakhs in the first year of my life in the stock market in 85, mid 86. And then for 3-4 years, there was no money, no earning. Markets were deeply bearish. I never used to speculate, never used to short shares or buy long. And I got married, but luckily I used to stay with my parents. So I had no expenses. My father used to pay for the household. Luckily also my wife was a very mild lady. She used to have her own car, but we used to go by bus. She lived in an AC room from the age of 3. We had no ACs, right? But then, But then 88, 89, things really started moving up. And there was a budget of Madhu Dhanvate. Everybody was, in 89, I asked my dad for capital. So he said, I told him, Daddy, the stock exchange is issuing cards for 12 lakhs. You give me 12 lakhs, I need money for office and I have working capital. I can raise the working capital, I need money for an office which I'll buy from my money. And you give me a year's time, then I'll repay you these 12 lakhs. In the next 3 years, like a truck driver repays, higher purchase installments. So my father said, no, I won't give it. But then I told him, Daddy, that I am your son. You brought me to the earth. I have done nothing wrong. Right? And I told him something else also. I said, I was the fourth. Maybe I was born because the tip of the FL was torn. I told my dad. Because I felt it's my right that I've been in the stock market for 3 years. I've earned 15-20 lakhs of rupees. I've done nothing wrong. But he said, no. Then I said, I have right. He said, you have right in ancestral wealth. And when your grandfather died, he left no wealth. He told me. But he never interfered in what. Then I told him, Daddy, never worry about me financially. And I said, the only way I can raise capital is by trading and speculating. There was no other way. There was a share called Sisa Goa. There was Mr. Bajaj in the stock market. He would catch everybody on the road and Sisa Goa, Sisa Goa, Sisa Goa, and nobody would listen to him. But when he explained to me, I found it to be very attractive. Because iron ore prices at that time, Brazil was the main supplier to Japan. And iron ore prices for the next year are decided in advance. So they had given a 36% increase for the next year. Right? And I bought a lot of shares. And I bought between 27 and 30, and the stock was 75 rupees in a year. Then I bought Telco, that also went up. And then the budget of Madhu Dhanvate. Everybody was so bearish, so bearish. And see how education helps. People started talking that they will levy a tax on education, which means that if your child goes to cathedral school, you'll have to pay 100 rupees a month to the government. But I thought of it, how many private schools there are? And after all, education is a state subject. The government will have to amend the constitution in order to collect this tax. It was a minority government. So I said, it's all crap. People have got extremely bearish. And I staked my life. I was worth 2.5 crores on the day of the budget. And next day I was worth 20 crores. And then the market, I just staked my life that day. And then the market went up, the index went to 900. Then the Gulf War happened. And somebody wrote that, has Dalal Street, all the markets in the world had gone down except India. So Economist magazine wrote an article, has Dalal Street heard of Saddam Hussein? I remember. And then after the Gulf War, we had the crisis. And then Madhu Dhanvate came, then Manmohan Singh came. And after his fresh budget, the index just shot up to 2,700. Then Mr. Arshad Mehta came. And then, we made solid money in the rise. We made solid money in the fall. And I think 1993, my net worth must have been nearly 150 crores. And I went and told my dad that, Daddy, I've earned a lot of money. In 90, I told him that I've earned about 25 crores rupees in trading. I don't mind paying the tax. Tax was 40 or 45%. But how do I pay the wealth tax? If I have a 25, 30 crore portfolio, I have to pay 1.5 crores wealth tax, which means I have to sell 3 crores worth of shares, pay 1.5 crores tax on that gain, and then pay 1.5 crores wealth tax. So my dad said, why are you so disturbed? Give me the income and the portfolio, I'll pay the tax. I'm worried about paying the tax. He said, don't worry about paying, give everything to me. I'll be happy to pay the tax and keep the rest. Yeah. And 93 to say 99, 2000 was a very listless period. And we should do nothing. They had banned speculation. The NSE came, electronic trading started. We used to go to the ring on the day of the Bombay or the bomb blast. In the Bombay Stock Exchange, I was in the ring. I used to go to the ring every day. 12 to 2. And then, of course, the tech boom came in which I didn't make much money because I don't know anything about technology and I didn't realize the importance of software. Let me not be afraid to say how ignorant I was or I am. But I didn't know what software meant here. And I used to use a computer. And then, of course, came 2001-2 when in 2001, after the September 11th attacks, for 7 days I never stepped out of my bedroom. I used to eat there, use my toilet, watch TV. That's all I used to do. But then I thought, maybe 4,000 Americans dying is not going to change the world. I mean, the way the kind of crisis. And also I realized there's a lot of, the liberalization program in 91, it has taken a lot of time for corporate India to exist. And corporate India then had a lot of unutilized capacities. And how do you make a bottom? When the worst circumstances arise, if the market hits a bottom and then rebounds back. So, we went from 3,300 to 2,900 on September 11 and we rebounded back. And I thought, 10 years, India was a growing economy, no growth in the market. So I got extremely bullish. And I raised, normally I used to, I have a debt 5% of my portfolio. I took a debt, I remember in a 375 crore portfolio, I had 150 crores of debt. And the biggest bet I had was on public sector enterprises. Bharat Electronics was available at 25 rupees and BEML was available at 20 rupees and BEML went to 1,500 and Bharat Electronics went to 1,600. So God had been kind, He gave me far more money than I needed. So I'm just a person who has been right person at the right place with the right attitude. And it's not that I've done anything which is extraordinary. Finally, I invest out of informed ignorance. Let me not think that, I invest in a hotel, I invest in a jewelry company, I invest in a watch company, I invest in a pharma company, I invest in a bank. Invest in so many, I invest in a tractor manufacturing company, I invest in a casino company. There are at least 25, 30 kinds of business in which I have serious investments. And I don't understand all of that. So, like in your CA, you have to make accounts from incomplete information. We have to invest from incomplete information. And now for listed companies, there are such strict guidelines from SEBI. So God has been kind, and I think, the best is still to come. And I was just watching some of my YouTube videos, and I saw in 2003 August, when the market was in the worst crisis, in an interview I said, the mother of all bull markets is still ahead of us. In December 2013, I said the bull market has already started. It will only be confirmed when the index goes above 6,300. So we are in a bull market, and why am I so bullish? I have made at least 20% of my wealth by being bearish. The kind of money I made in 92 after short selling shares, because we knew this money is coming from, God knows where it's coming from, it's not legitimate money. And once the weakness started, just slaughtered the market at that time. So the question is, why am I bullish? See, essentially, earnings, valuations are slave of earnings, right? Now, for 80% of corporate India, India is the market. And also for wherever we are in the export markets, India's share in the export markets is very, very small. We still haven't touched more than 40 to 45% of the Fortune 500 companies in software exports. Where are we in pharma? We don't constitute more than 15-17% of the US generic market. Or, I think India is going to be a world leader in pharma one day. Because we have a huge home market and the Indian costs are just unbelievable, how low they are. So, why will India grow? Essentially, it's in a very, very, I would say, pervert economy where corporate earnings don't grow if the economy grows. Either, in America, a lot of these sales come from international operations. So that may not be so linked. But in India, if India has to grow, corporate India's earnings have to grow. And why India will grow, I think. See, what allows a country or an economy to grow? Even in my investment, I don't look, first I look at the factors which drive profits. Opportunity, competitive ability. Similarly for India, I think Indians are among the most skilled people in the world. And those skills are only not with the NRI. Indians are genetically skilled. We did not steal the technology from anybody to make the bomb, right? And we did not sell it to anybody. I think we have in India some of the most skilled doctors, lawyers, software engineers. So I have no doubt in my mind that India is a skilled nation. Then I think if you look at history, no country which is non-democratic has become prosperous and retained it for 100 years. I'm not talking of city-states like Singapore, they don't matter. If you give me Bombay, I can make Bombay very prosperous, right? So I think democracy slows but makes things sure. Then, every society has its highest growth in the most favorable time of its demographic evolution. See, these are not opinions, these are facts. You go to America, you go to Europe, today the biggest challenge for the Western world is demographics. And from 2010 to 2050, India will be having the most favorable demographics of any sizable nation in the world. One in every fourth Indian, one in every fourth person joining the workforce in the world will be an Indian. I think one in every fourth person below the age of 25 lives in India today, of the world. Then I think we have vast natural resources. We struck oil in Rajasthan. It's, Saudi Arabia is an oil field which is producing 1 billion barrels of oil for 50 years. A day is producing. God can't be so unkind that He'll give so much oil in the deserts of Saudi Arabia and not in Rajasthan. It's plain common. It's just, we just have to find it, for which we got to have a balanced and a fair allocation of resources. Auctioning, proper systems. I think in all these oil fields, the best system is what percentage of oil you're giving me. You know your costs. You're going to give me 10% oil found, 20%, 30%, 40%. That is the way it should be done, and it will be done. Also, I feel the modern world is about the ability to understand change, accept it, prepare for it, and benefit from it. And for that, you need modern minds. I think India is essentially, culturally, a tolerant society which can change. That's why I think we are so proficient in software and engineering. So I think these factors are not man-created or designed. They're all been created by circumstances and time. They're all bottoms up and nothing can reverse them. And if these factors cannot be reversed, now it has to come together with good evolved government policy. Which is, I'm very hopeful. Good people may have a lot of opinions of good and bad, at least which facilitates the ability of Indian people to grow their skills and talent and economic activity. I am confident this government will do that. So I think we're going to have a burst of growth. I think post 2017, 18, 19, if India doesn't grow double digit, I'll be deeply disappointed. I think we will. And we'll go double digit for a far greater period of time than how China has grown. Right? So if India has to grow, then corporate earnings have to grow. If corporate earnings are a slave of valuation. Price is a simple formula. It's equal to earning per share multiplied by P. If the earning per share goes up, when corporate profits go up, right? Now the P. You imagine you live in a country with $650 billion of savings. Not $6 billion comes to the stock market. In 4 years, this will be $1 trillion. In America, 30% comes. In India, in 2007-8, I think 8% came. In 92-93, it was 14%. If 10% of this money, which is $100 billion, is going to come in the market, I don't know what's going to happen. And me advising and you lecturing, nobody is going to come. सब नफे का दारू है. जैसे बाजार बढ़ेगा, पहले चाची आएगी, फिर चाचा आएगा, फिर वो अपनी गर्लफ्रेंड को बोलेगा, देख मैंने कितना पैसा कमाया शेयर बाजार में, फिर वो आएगी, फिर वो अपने दोस्त को बोलेगी, and then nothing, these animal spirits will never die. So I don't think, we should advise people too much where to invest, but they will come. If markets go up, they will come. So I remain a total India bull. A lot of people ask me, why don't you invest abroad? You diversify. I say, well, the food at home is so good, why to go to some restaurant? I remember when I used to buy public sector stocks, NDTV, the first person who interviewed me in life was NDTV. And the first time they gave me an executive class ticket to come to Delhi, first time in my life I traveled in executive class, right? And I can't forget the chicken jets they served me on that flight. I'm a complete foodie. So he asked me, Rakesh, you are very bullish in the public sector stocks, but the FIs are not buying. How will they go up? I said, don't worry. If the girl is pretty, the suitor will come. So my observation in life is, the reality is that India is going to grow. Even if it doesn't go double digit, 8% is enough, right? People are going to come into the markets. Most good scripts today are hitting FI limits. A lot of FIs are saying, let's buy this good company before it hits the limit. And then local money. So I don't know here. I mean, a lot of people ask me, will it be 1 lakh? I said, what, Nifty or Sensex? They are saying Sensex. I say, you're too bearish. I said, only thing I don't know when. Just like daddy na. Daddy सब पैसा दे दो बोले बेटा सब तेरा ही है कब मिलेगा मालूम नहीं right? So I am very bullish as far as I think all of you all are concerned. I am very jealous and envious of all of you all young Indians, right? That you will love to see a far more prosperous India than I will live to see. So exciting to be young. You can have girlfriends, you can go pubbing. You don't have a wife to question you what time you're coming home, where are you going, right? Or you don't have a husband to question you, whatever, right? And it's great to be youthful, and I wish, I still, when I think in the office sometimes, generally I don't have much to do, but I watch the screen, right? And I don't arrange matters in such a way that I'm free all the time, right? So I was thinking the other day, I said, wouldn't it be better if I can be 25 again, go to the stock market, I have a bag, I had no office, so I used to stand on the street. They used to call me bag wala Jhunjhunwala. So why he carries a bag? He doesn't, So great, I think you're going to have a great future. And I think one thing is that I just met the promoter of Jebong. I think we need to aspire. If we don't aspire, we will not achieve. We need to dream. But I think we need to dream with a head held high and our feet on the ground. Dreaming in an abstraction means nothing. What else I can say? I would advise all of you all, it is better to try and fail rather than to not try again. And also the elements of, all things big in life start small. Never forget that. And of course, I don't think you all must all be in either in own businesses or in jobs and all. But I feel that once we get educated and all, you feel this conflict where I'll go in life, how small I am in relation to the world. But as time progresses, the progress surprises you. As far as you said, I'm a philanthropist. I'm not a philanthropist, but I do believe, I don't consider myself a philanthropist. To do that, I have to give far more of my wealth, right? Now I only give 25% of my dividend income every year. But I feel that, the giver of this wealth is God. I am not Rakesh Jhunjhunwala because I am Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. I am Rakesh Jhunjhunwala because he has chosen me to be Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. And I have not got this wealth. And I have not got, God is the giver of this wealth. And I think he casts upon us a social responsibility that we must use some part of it for good purpose. And I'm very influenced by, John Rockefeller, first by my dad. When I first, my dad came to know I'm a billionaire. I'll tell you two jokes about a joke about the billionaire part. I came to, in Forbes magazine, he called me. He said, साले तेरे को इतना पैसा हो गया? 5,000 करोड़? मैं तो समझता था होगा 200-500 करोड़. He told me very success, very happy, he said, I feel. He said, use it for good purpose. But बोला राकेश मुझे बहुत शर्म आती है, चुल्लू भर पानी में डूब मर. मैं बोला डैडी ऐसा क्या बोल रहे हैं, मैंने क्या गलती की? बोले है 5,000 करोड़ और 2 करोड़ डोनेट करने को बोलता हूँ तो मुंह बनाते हैं. That's what he told me, yeah. And then, the market fell off and my wealth halved. So a lot of people who tease me used to ask me, are you still a billionaire? Are you still a billionaire? I said, yes, very much so. Many times over. I don't know in which currency. Right? So, I think, also, so I decided, that giver is God. I pray to God, give me the power to give. I also think now that I'm 54 that what is the legacy I leave to the world? See, I have no business, individual business or an organization. I have 14 employees in my company, right? And I am very bad at administration. I cannot build organizations. I don't intend building organizations also. But let me realize what I can't do and not try and do it, right? I had a big dream that I'll get Rare Enterprise, I'll get 30 traders, I'll get 40 traders, we'll trade, we'll invest. I think all that is impractical. I'm an individualistic character, right? So will the legacy be only the wealth I leave to my children or the good I do to society? So I now I spend 25% of my dividend income. This year I'll spend between 22 and 25 crores. And I've pledged that on July 5th, 2020, I'll be 60. So 5,000 crores or 25% of my portfolio, whichever is less, I will give away to my foundation. So that can be, it's a pledge, it cannot be legally enforced, but a lot of people tell me, why do you say it? I said, I say it because on 6th July 2020, if I don't give it, you come to my office and say, shame, 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 shame. That pledge now reinforces that I must do it. And if possible, and if my wife agrees, because I have only one customer and client, my wife. And a lot of my friends who manage money publicly, they always say, Rakesh, we envy you. You don't have to answer anybody. Our clients, they take our hours, 1 month, they shout. The value goes down 5. I said, boss, yours is once in a month, mine is daily here. I have only one customer. What else I can say? I think, I don't know here. And, if there are more Anand Kumars, I think India will surely, he's doing a job for which I don't know how. He doesn't want money, but I want to ask him is, what does he need to scale? I respect his, generally I can't give anything to anybody except money, because I don't give time. But the question is that what we should put in his brain is he can expand to scale is important, right? And what is it he needs to do to scale? And all those who work for him to scale may not have the same motive. There is an organization in Bangalore. This year I give them 7.5 crores. We are working to teach science to rural children. Now I have here a CEO. He was drawing $250,000 in '98 in Citibank. He left all that and he came here. He worked without salary for 10 years. But boss, I told him one day, how are you going to maintain your house? How long will your savings last you? So even a guy who's working for an NGO, he can spend a reasonable amount of money and use that for, and everybody cannot run his household without a return. So I think the question is, we should say there should be hundreds and thousands of others. I really feel if we can help him in scaling, why IIT? There are so many other, institutions which are, good for jobs. And what else can I say? I am happy I came here. When I met you all, more than I met Anand Kumar. Oh, what are the... welcome to answer any questions. You can ask what you want. How many questions you want, I'll answer what I want. It's like my relationship with my wife. Yeah? She can say anything, I can say anything.
So I'll take the privilege of asking you the first couple of questions, I guess. So what worries, you've been very bullish about the country, the economy moving forward, but is there anything which worries you politically, socially for our country?
Well, my biggest worry is Pakistan's nuclear bomb. I truly believe. Because see, it's basically an unstable nation, right? It is my thought that America knows where those weapons are and America will prevent the usage. But still, in a broken state with nuclear arms, I think tomorrow if Hafiz Saeed captures power in Pakistan, you know what he'll do here. So I think that's one big worry. Second, I think the security and life of Mr. Modi is also very important. Because now at this moment of time, he's too important a person. I think he's quite irreplaceable at least for the next 2-3 years. Unless he gets what his government really wants to do, once that reaches a level, I think he's extremely important. Beyond that, I think all the geopolitical, US interest, it's all crap. You see, Ukraine is fighting Russia. There is danger some part because Putin's approval ratings have gone to 80. Right? And this Gaza and Palestine, so I think, Kashmir, Gaza and Palestine will go on for the next 100 years. Nothing's going to happen. So I don't think there's any other real worry. And I see that one worry is, to which there's no answer today, that what is the most important economic event of the last 150 years? I think is aging. Aging. See, nobody planned for it, nobody anticipated it, and nobody prepared for it. The word defined pension will not be there in the dictionary 20 years later. Because no society can pay defined. No, ma'am, if people age more, you have far lesser number of working people, feeding far greater number of people. That is what demographics is. So the question is that in response, see, the Western world is not only facing an economic slowdown, it is facing a structural change. Right? Now, nobody anticipated this kind of change. And these low interest rates have never been held in history. They have not produced any inflation. Because we have no precedents of economic results of such kind of policy, there is uncertainty. But I think personally, as far as India is concerned, interest rates in the Western world, unlike Japan, are not going to go up for a long period of time. So, if US rate go from 25 basis to 100 basis, what difference it will make? So I think for me, these are the two primary worries.
My last question before I open it up. So you have another avatar which you stepped into with English for English, your first co-production. So how did that happen, and are you planning anything next?
First of all, I didn't become a producer to meet some girls. I don't mix, a lot of people told me I don't mix business with pleasure. And then, secondly, I have childhood love for films. And once Balki, who's the real guy, and I just put some money. There was by Give India, there was some fashion show where we all walked. So I had some drinks, Balki was also there, we were having drinks together. I really liked him. And his background is chairman of Lowland Towers. Yeah. He himself must be earning 4-5 crores a year as chairman of Lowland Towers. A very nice human, not concerned about money. See, I'm not disturbed in life by losing money. But I'm disturbed if I'm cheated. So, I know all the film industry, but I really liked him. And then he told me that I'm making my next film. I said, Balki, you ever want to make a film now? First cross me. So he came to my office one day, he said, I'm making a film. I said, what's the subject? He said, English. The aspiration to learn English and how it affects. And you find so much aspiration for Indians. You go to Singapore, you go anywhere. If you go to Macau, a hostess who speaks English, a waitress, she will get 3 times the salary of a person who can't speak English. So there's so much aspiration. So I thought people will identify with it. That's what I knew. So we produced the movie together. I went on the Mudat day, and we had a preview 3 days before the release and the premiere. Yeah. I had nothing, and they asked me to do some interviews with E.T. now and all on the movie. Apart from that, nothing. And then now we're making a movie called Shamitabh, which is based on Amitabh Bachchan's voice, where he's a failed actor. He becomes a drunkard. He lives in a cemetery, and there is Dhanush. He plays a guy who's a very good actor, but he can't speak. And there's one girl who brings them together. And now there's actual technology that suppose I'm speaking. So suppose I am dumb, right, and you are speaking. You can get that the sound waves are appearing from my lips. So using that, he becomes his voice, and then Dhanush becomes a superstar, and then on and on. How films are, So, I think he'll be releasing now in January. I would love to make films, provided I don't lose money. I want to make money. Suppose 12% is my cost of capital, gives me back 12%, right? And I'm dealing with an honest person. Because then getting into this cheaters, and I don't have time to audit and dispute, but it's great fun to make movies. Yeah.